Alright guys, so this little one's name's Phoebe. She's a sugar glider here at the zoo. She's just 7 months old and she's actually a rescue. So she got stuck in a chicken wire fence in someone's backyard. We got called to go and cut her out and now we're just rehabilitating her here until she's ready to fly away back to her mum. Right now is actually her feeding time, so we're giving her a favourite snack. It's a mixture of sap and apple juice, or as we like to call it, sapple juice. Alright, so sugar gliders in the wild will glide from branch to branch, looking for sugary fruits, nectars, saps, hence the name, as well as any grubs and bugs they can find hiding in the bark, tree hollows, or in the leaf litter ground cover. Now these little guys normally love to stay out of sight, so you might not have seen one in the wild, but they're actually quite common in the bush around New South Wales and the rest of the east and north coast. Now they're arboreal, which means they live in trees, so you might spot them gliding around woodlands, eucalyptus forests and rainforests. What's really exciting about these cute little guys is their ability to glide through the air like a flying squirrel. They have a very similar appearance and behaviours to the flying squirrel, despite not being closely related. They call that convergent evolution. The scientific name, Petaurus breviceps, actually translates from Latin as short-headed rope dancer, which is sort of a reference to their canopy acrobatics. Now, I know you're all asking the same question. How do these guys glide around? They actually have a pair of gliding membranes known as patagia, which is basically a lot of loose skin which extends from their back legs to the front legs. Now gliding is their unique way of getting to food and escaping from predators. Who would want to hurt this little guy? Well, there's actually quite a few other animals that might try and have a go at them, usually while they're young and fresh out of the pouch. So snakes, feral cats, quolls, monitors, owls, foxes, antikynuses, and even kookaburras. Now I don't know if you caught it, but I just said pouch. That's right, these guys are actually marsupials, just like kangaroos. That's because they're actually possums. So once they're about a year old, they'll go out and look for a mate, and after just a bit over 2 weeks, 1 or 2 tiny little joeys will actually crawl up into their pouch, where they'll stay until they're big enough to fly away by themselves and start their own family and get a job in the big city. Just kidding, guys. So they won't actually leave the pouch permanently until they're about 4 months old. They actually need their mother's warmth because they haven't developed their own thermoregulatory systems yet. Alright, now as you can see, Phoebe's just sucking into her apple juice like it's the best thing she's ever tasted. Can't blame her really. Have you ever tried tree sap? No? Yeah, me neither. But if you're a sugar glider, that's like a 5-star meal with dessert thrown in for free. Now sugar gliders are actually part of a little family called Pteroidae, which also includes things like wrist-ringed gliders and striped possums. All of them are pretty good at climbing and leaping about the treetops, but sugar gliders are definitely the celebrities of the group. And while Phoebe is still young, in the wild fully grown sugar gliders can glide up to 50 meters in a single jump. That's about the length of an Olympic swimming pool. Imagine that, you're just a tiny creature, not much bigger than the palm of your hand, soaring from tree to tree like you're some kind of action movie. And they don't leap blindly either. They actually use their little tail as sort of a rudder, steering through the air like a little aeroplane. Incredible, right guys? Now you might notice she's got these beautiful big black eyes. And that's not just for show. Sugar gliders are nocturnal, which means they come out at night. These big eyes help them pick up every little bit of light in the dark forest, so they might spot fruit, insects, or threats before they get too close. The technical term for that is having a high rod-to-cone ratio in the eye. Basically, it means she's got night vision goggles built in. I wish I had that. Might stop me from stubbing my toe on the furniture when I get up for a midnight snack. Speaking of snacks, sugar gliders have these really sharp little lower incisors. Now they'll actually use those teeth to pierce the bark of trees, looking for the sweet sap inside. In the wild, they especially love eucalyptus and acacia trees for that. A proper Aussie menu. Another fun fact for you, did you know that sugar gliders can communicate using little high-pitched calls? If you hang around here in this enclosure, you might actually hear one soon. So they'll bark, they'll hiss, they might even make little chattering noises to each other. Sometimes, when I'm doing the late night feeds here at the sanctuary, I can hear all the sugar gliders chatting away like a bunch of gossipy old neighbours over the fence. And when they really relax, they'll even purr a little bit like a cat. It's honestly the sweetest thing you'll ever hear. Now, I mentioned before that Phoebe's a rescue. Unfortunately, habitat destruction is one of the biggest threats these guys face in the wild. As land gets cleared for farming and housing, a lot of sugar gliders lose the tall trees that they need to find food and travel around. That's why wildlife corridors, stretches of trees connecting forests together, are so important. Without them, they're stuck on isolated patches of land, and that makes it a lot harder to find mates, food, and safe spots to raise their young. Alright, now here's a little weird bit of trivia for you. Even though they're native to Australia and New Guinea, sugar gliders have actually been introduced to parts of Tasmania. They weren't originally from there, so they're actually considered invasive in Tasmania now because they compete with some local birds for the nesting hollows. But here in Care, Phoebe's job is just to get stronger, learn how to properly glide again, and eventually head back where she belongs, out in the wild, under the stars, doing little midnight commando missions between the treetops. Right now she's just nibbling away on the lunch break, completely unbothered by the chaos of the outside world. Another cool thing, in a wild colony of sugar gliders, you won't usually find just one on their own. They live in family groups, usually around 7 to 12 individuals, all snuggled up together in a hollow tree. Absolute cuddle puddle situation. They would groom each other too, keeping everyone clean and smelling nice. Social grooming is actually super important for their bonding. It's not just hygiene, it's really about their friendship and their mental health. And for any one of you wondering, yes, they do have little scent glands. Males especially have this tiny bald spot in their head where their scent gland is, and they'll rub it on branches and other gliders to mark their territory for their group. Bit gross, but hey, we've all got weird habits. Alright guys, Phoebe's starting to look a little bit sleepy now. That's the sugar crash kicking in. It's honestly adorable. She's just curling a little tail around herself like a fluffy scarf, ready for a nap. So why don't we just let her rest up now, hey? She's got a lot of gliding to do once she's back home, and she'll need her energy for that. Alright, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, guys. Remember, if you're ever lucky enough to see one of these beautiful little creatures out in the wild, give them some space, give them some love, and give them lots of trees. Lots and lots of trees. Alright, I'll see you guys over at the safari spot at 3 o'clock. Thanks, guys. Alright, anyone want a photo? Yeah, do you want a photo? Come here.